You may have heard in Sri Lanka the economic crisis is going on. People are protesting on the streets because there is no fuel in Sri Lanka. The food prices has gone up. Even in some of the hospitals also, the surgery, actually the operations are not cannot be performed because of the lack of electricity. And most of the actually this parliament member of parliament has resigned, and opposition parties asking even the president also to resign. So we will today talk about actually what are the factor that has been responsible for this kind of economic crisis in Sri Lanka. So this the root of this crisis can be traced back to the post-war era, and we will also have to take into account exactly how the economy of Sri Lanka functions, because most of their economy is based upon the export of the primary commodities like for example rubber or tea or spices. So after the post-war between 2008 to 2012, the economy of Sri Lanka was doing quite good, because it was growing at the rate of 8 to 9% from 2009 to 2012. Maybe because of the post-war demand, this economy of Sri Lanka was doing quite well. But in 2013, when the global commodity price went on to get decreased, then the export earning of the Sri Lanka also decreased, because of the fact that the prices of these primary commodity was less in the global market, but their import, you know, was you know uh, import kept on growing. So that's why they suffered a balance of payment crisis, because they are importing more than what exactly they were exporting. And in 2008 also, because of the global financial crisis, a lot of capital also went out of the Sri Lanka because of the global financial crisis. Because capital flight is something which takes place whenever, generally when the investors think that economy of a particular country is not actually increasing at a faster pace, then they take up their capital and they invest in those countries where the growth prospects are better. So that's how in the global financial crisis a lot of capital also flight took place, that also must have actually drained out the foreign exchange reserve of Sri Lanka, because whenever the capital move out of the country, then it always move out in the form of for dollars. So that's why there actually foreign exchange reserve was drained because of capital flight. And in 2008, as I said, when they took the loan from the IMF in order to manage their balance of payment, then this loan always comes in, with the lot of string attached, because whenever IMF give any loan a loan to any country, then they put lot of restriction on how actually to you know if how to manage your economy. For example, they will say that Sri Lanka was told to reduce the the expenditure, so that it could reduce the deficit that it had. So that's why, but these kind of policies generally actually lead to more vicious cycle, in the sense that whenever the government spent more amount of money, then it actually generally revive the economy, because whenever the government is spent more money, then a lot of economic activities get revived, and because of this activity, again the economy can come back onto the track. But when these loans, whenever the IMF give loans to this any country, then they ask what is called as, they ask to reduce the spending of the government, which actually lead to more slowdown of the economy. So this is some kind of vicious cycle, and government cannot take any kind of counter cyclic policy to manage the economy. So that's why this is another problem. Then uh, the COVID situation, COVID also went on to have some kind of detrimental effect on the economy, because during the pandemic, the expenditure of economy of expenditure of the government of any country increases. So that's why mm, actually this whole balance of payment became a problem for the Sri Lanka. Then the another problem that is that actually another factor that affected the Sri Lankan economy is that you know uh, in the 2019, when Easter bombing took place, that actually also was responsible for a reduction in the foreign exchange reserve of Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka hardly received any kind of tourism through which it get a lot of foreign exchange. So that's why this was another blow to the Sri Lankan economy. And then UNP, that is Sri Lankan, was replaced by SLPP. This is headed by the Gotabaya Rajpaksa. So when this during the election campaign, Gotabaya Rajpaksa promised a lot of tax reforms, tax cuts, which he implemented without having any kind of concrete policy. So that's why he actually provided a lot of tax cuts to the people, which actually is which led to the lot of revenue deficit for the government. So that's how actually the government could got less amount of money in the form of taxes. So these are the actually basically factors. Then another factor that was also responsible for this economic slowdown was to ban the import of fertilizer, because the Sri Lankan government was actually paying a lot of money for importing this fertilizer from out abroad. So that's why they overnight they declared that the Sri Lanka will actually practice the organic farming, and despite the fact that a lot of scientists actually told that this can be a disaster. But because of this ban, the production of food grains and other commodity has gone down, and that again has led to the increased inflation in the Sri Lankan economy.